Bruce Almighty. That was
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Evan Almighty is better.
It's better.
Way better. The
Way
messaging
better.
is better. Yeah. I
Wow.
mean, the one is funny. Bruce Almighty is
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But Evan Almighty is a way better message film. Way better. It's
Oh,
really,
interesting.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Tim and I loved that one way more.
Good.
Yeah. You will. Yeah.
All
So
right.
there's your homework. You got to watch Evan Almighty. And then then if you watch the credits, you have to watch the credits. That's where Thou Shalt Do the Dance comes from.
All right. I got my Easter challenge on my app. I have Facebook pulled up.
I got I'm old school with the book there. Got my my phone so my wife can text me if I'm screwing up.
All right, we got both Connie Weber, my wife, and Dave
I've
Dotson
got
all
this
checked
just
in.
case. All
Oh
right.
wow, you're fan. We have so much tech just like laying around, man.
Right now, yeah, we are
It's-
text maniacs
Yeah.
right now. You know what?
Hey
I'm gonna go
Dave,
to this.
how's our sound, man? Are we loud enough? Can you just let us know how that's going? But yeah, anyway, so I did have that prayer time with the other pastors around Santa Clarita
Oh
this
right,
morning.
you're talking about that. Yeah.
It was just good to have that, man. Just to not only kind of see where people are at, but then to pray together. It's just a really
Mhm.
uplifting thing.
You guys need that. You guys, as
It's-
pastors in the
it's a
valley, need to
great
come
thing.
together, pray,
Yeah.
support one another. Very, very important.
Yeah. And in that
Okay.
whole process.
Good, good. All right.
Is it? I think it's actually just David. I think that David Dodson does not go by Dave. I
Oh,
should not make
straight
that
David,
mistake. I
right.
think it's just straight.
You know,
David.
because I got cousins and uncles and all that, and it was hard to keep that all straight. I had a cousin who went by, all right, yeah, cousin David, but sometimes you called him Dave. But when we were ever around our uncle, who only went by Dave, we had to call him David to keep it straight. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like you think of the biblical character David, and I've never thought about calling David Dave.
yeah, right. Dave,
It's like
a god after
always
man's
King
own heart.
David. Come on, yeah.
I got a buddy of mine, a Jewish friend of mine, who's I
Yeah.
think I told you about this, writing a book on Jewish warriors throughout
Mm.
history,
Mm-hmm.
up into the modern times. And I should ask him, hey, could it go by like Dave, a man after God's own heart? Would that be all right? See what he says.
Oh man,
Hey,
one
Valerie,
of my, I have
good to see you.
I have a buddy of mine who's a pastor in the Bay Area, and he's Eritrean, and his name's Dawid, but like it like looks kind of like David when you're reading it, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's Dawid.
Right
and,
on.
yeah. Great pastor, great guy. He spoke at the gathering actually. He kind of told his story.
Oh, cool. All right. So
Yeah.
now he saw him. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
All I got to say is, man, the fact that Toby Mac played at the gathering pretty much rocks that. That is too
Yeah.
awesome. When's the next?
Aw.
The next one's gonna be
All right,
where?
Ed, I'm gonna share this
Oh,
with you.
my
This is my girl when
goodness.
she saw me on TV. Yeah.
Oh.
I wish I could share it with you all. Sarah took a picture of our daughter when she saw me on TV, and she's got a big smile going on right now.
She could. Can't she pop it into the chat there for everybody to see?
She might be able to pop it into
Sarah,
the chat. I'm
put
not
some
sure how
Kyrie
that works.
cuteness in the
Apparently,
chat, yeah.
I called her out, so it's got to happen now. All right. Well, I think it is about. I have like 3 different devices, but for some reason I went to my watch to tell the time. It's about 7 o'clock.
I stopped wearing a
Welcome,
watch a long
everybody.
time ago.
I
Too many devices that tell time. That's why.
So, the pastors, the LCMS pastors, have a kind of cool program that like the health insurance people do, where it's very proactive care focused.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Concordia
what-
plans is good.
yeah. And what people have learned is that the money you spend into proactive care on people returns exponentially in the long run.
Sure.
Because like if you're healthy and you work out, you have way less medical bills. But for part of that program, they like give you money off of like Fitbits or Apple Watches and stuff like that. And then the other
Oh.
nice part about having the device is if you do work out and stuff like that and you have the device on, it detects it and sends it to them and you get some points. So
You get health points. Look at
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Right on. Very cool.
anyway, that's really weird for me to just talk about on stream like that. But that's why I have a watch.
There you go.
So-
Okay. Well, I did go and look at one, and I thought, I just can't. I can't justify buying it because I don't really think I'll use it.
Well, I struggle with it too because Gus loves to play with it and like it like frustratingly so. Like I'll be trying to get his attention or something and he's just like in watch land and like I need to figure out if there's a better way for me to kind of lock the screen or something. because like if he sees it lit up, he'll just try and play with it all day.
He starts texting people for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at what my pastor
That's what I
texted me.
should. That's what I should just blame any wrong texts on or typos. It's like, oh,
Sorry,
my
that
son
was
grabbed
Gus.
my watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right on, man. Well,
Hey, Gene. Thanks for checking
oh,
in.
Sarah
Hey,
said
Jeannie,
can't
hey,
put pictures in
Valerie.
chats. I've
Oh,
tried.
okay.
Oh, well, thanks for trying, Sarah.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Gina, happy Wednesday. It is good to be here. Thanks for joining us on.
Hey, Mean Dean's on. Right on.
That's right. This is week 4 for the Easter Challenge
yeah,
series.
week 4 of
now.
the Easter Challenge series.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I love the turn in direction it's taken, kind of moving from, okay, Easter changes everything, to the church, good and bad and ugly. You know, the church is still called by God, and kind of what that means for us. Last week we moved from the church to the Word. Huge for us as Lutherans, but just huge for the entire body of Christ, because that's our foundation. And then this week we move to kind of our own kind of mission, testimony, engagement. What does that look like?
Right.
And it's a good natural transition. By the way, Ed, I just want you to know I haven't had anybody reach out this week. I don't know if you saw the so each week they have the challenges that go with it, and the community challenge recommendation is talk to your pastor about leading an apologetics class evangelistic effort.
I know,
Nobody's
right?
taking me up on it yet, but if you want to, reach out.
Well, I've always loved the apologetics, but I get a little nuts. So, hey, Connie, I get a little intense and passionate. But and my area of interest and passion with that is talking about science. You know,
yeah.
and how the Christian should be a welcomer of science, an engager with science, because science, like everything else, is a gift from God, and like everything else, it points at God, and it can be perverted. So the idea of, like, when people say, "Well, I believe in science," great, that's great, because that will point you where you need to go, and it's just powerful stuff. I love when the couple tours that Louis Giglio and Chris Tomlin did together.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
And he gives you this presentation, that cosmically, that just blows your mind, and you're like, one of my favorite things, I still hold on to it, and from time to time, use it, is the idea that my God is a starburner. That worldly perverted versions of science would say, because actually I mentioned it in one of the Bible studies that I covered while you weren't here. I was controversial, but I mentioned something about evolution being a farce. I have a book, by the way, that's titled that. Jeannie says we've frozen.
We've frozen. Hopefully we unfreeze. We're not frozen on mine, but we did have some good shout outs kind of in the meantime. David and Kylie Mattis say hi. Karen Campos says hey, how y'all doing? Janet said, how was your Cinco de Mayo?
My wife, because we got corona, and posted that on Facebook, and lots of people saw us with our corona and no masks.
Maricela says hi. Dave Gardner says hi. Hey, y'all. Glad you are checking in with us. Hey, Janine.
Anna Michelin's here.
We are back.
Mary
okay, so we're back on.
My brother's mother-in-law.
Oh,
hi, Mary.
Nice.
Love you.
Nice.
Big love to Pastor as well.
Very cool.
But yeah, so one of the things I said is, I said, because I have a book by Hank Anagram. Love me some Hank, about evolution being a farce, and my man Henry raises his hand and he's like, I need you to talk to me more about that. And I said, I said, hold on, let's make sure we're talking the same thing. And I talked to
micro, macro, yeah.
And he's like, man, I've never even heard about that. That's awesome. Okay, I get that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we got to talk about, is those things that that are true and and honest and point us at God, and those things that are used as tools to draw us away.
Yeah, so I don't want to get too much into this tonight.
I know, I'm
'cause
sorry.
it's not our original topic.
No.
But we got to catch up on this sometime because it's a good one. But we're here tonight to talk.
We're talking about our
mission.
our mission, right?
Yeah,
Our personal
why we're
mission
here.
given us by
Um,
God.
So the other challenge this week that I love though was to kind of write out your testimony or articulate it if you haven't before. In fact, I think on the very first day, that's the challenge. I'm gonna scroll through and double check. Yeah, that's the challenge for the very very first day as well.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
So I thought it would be kind of cool if you're comfortable at it, if you're like if you want to share, if you don't want to share, you can just kind of give some of our stories in micro condensed, long, short, whatever you want to do. No, laughing.
Well, I'm laughing because he's like, I'm going to put you on the spot, but you don't
No,
have to.
you don't have to.
I'm
like
teasing
I can,
you.
I will start us
I'm
off.
totally teasing
I
you.
will. Okay.
But yeah, why don't you start us off?
So
Because I'm boring. So
you're
you're far more
boring.
entertaining
Stop,
than I
man.
am.
Stop. I'm not entertaining. I don't have like a crazy like, oh man, I was in a gutter or anything like that. So here's kind of the long and short of my story. Grew up in a household with two parents, both Christians. My dad's Catholic and my mom's Lutheran.
Well, that made for interesting conversation.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if my mom's watching or not. She can answer this question in the chat. I think my dad kind of like joked he'd become Lutheran when they got married, but like he stayed Catholic because I don't know if Catholics are like very staying
Well,
in.
it depends. A lot of Catholics are
Or you can be very relaxed. That's true. There's
right.
a lot of kind of
there are a lot of Catholics that just
Yeah.
they say that I'm Catholic, but
you
yeah.
ask them what that means, and they're not always able to articulate. That's true. And so, but my dad had a job where he worked for the railroad for BNSF, and so a lot of times he would be traveling during weekends or throughout the week. He would drive trains to Kansas City and back.
Oh wow!
And so he'd be gone for a few days, and then he'd be back home for a few days. And so my mom would pretty consistently do devotionals with us. She'd be the one that would normally take us to church with her and Sunday school and stuff. And kind of growing up,
my wife just let you know your mom's watching.
My mom is watching. Uh-oh, no pressure. And growing up, I it's one of those things where when I was younger, very much kind of like loved Jesus, could articulate the gospel, loved my Sunday school teachers. They're really good at teaching me that. I hit a point in like 5th or 6th grade, and I don't know if it's like the naturally rebellious period or what, but it was kind of a culmination of what I was learning in science and a number of other things that brought me to a point where I said, okay, I don't know. Like, I've just been kind of going to church. I don't actually know if this is true or not. There's a lot of other world religions. And so I would still, like, my mom would still, because she had 4 boys, and she would still kind of like take us to church. But I really would just kind of be there in a point of rebellion. Like, there was even a point where, remember Norm Schaefer, if you know who, Mom, you know who he is. He went up for our like middle school classes and was playing like a praise song on guitar, and I felt bad in one sense, or I feel bad thinking back because like no one was singing along with him, but he was like trying to get everyone to sing along, which was really hard for middle schoolers.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the back, and I remember the kid I was sitting next to as we walked out. I'm like, I wouldn't do that if you paid me $1 million. And I kind of got to a point where I was kind of a functioning agnostic, and
but you were still Lutheran in your heart because you were sitting in the back.
Because I was sitting in the back. That's
Yep.
right. And just started questioning a lot of things, and it's kind of cool and crazy how God works. Where my oldest brother Matt at the time, great man. I love my oldest brother Matt. He's a phenomenal man of God. He went off to college, and normally you go off to college and you just become licentious and all about yourself and things like that. But it actually going off to college really strengthened his faith.
Awesome.
And made him articulate it more deeply and search into it more profoundly. And so I was kind of wandering on my own, but in the midst of my own wandering, I was able to kind of have some really impactful, meaningful conversations with my brother. And the other thing that was really cool was he would actually have me come out to the dorms and stay with him sometimes. And we would go, he'd take me to chapel with him on Sunday mornings.
Oh, cool.
And University Lutheran Chapel in downtown Lincoln. And I'll never forget, there was a sermon preached there by Pastor Bill, PB, and it was like a basic gospel sermon, just like just the heart of, hey, it doesn't matter how you messed up or where you've been, God's still for you, he loves you. And I kind of walked off in the midst of it and just wept a little bit, and ended up just through that and kind of thinking things through, returning back to Christianity, to Jesus. And from there, God kind of repeatedly made it abundantly clear he wanted me to be a pastor. Long story short, got back into college, had a smaller kind of chasm of that, like, okay, trying to make sense of science, trying to make sense of these things. But another faithful kind of man of God that I could go to as a mentor really helped me out, helped me to kind of understand my wrestlings and understand some different perspectives, which was super helpful. And here we are today.
Right on,
I think
man.
that was more than 5 minutes.
That's okay. Your mom said you were questioning, but you still involved
Yep.
in church activities.
Yep.
Well, I love that because, I've said this before too. I describe the gospel as sticky.
Mm.
You get it on you, and it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to get it off.
Yeah.
And that was my, philosophy with. I think we talked about this last week or the week before about, when I was the director at Lutheran High. It was like, I'll be honest, straightforward. Do not care what gets a kid to that school. I don't care if it's because they were in trouble and they got kicked out of every other school. I don't care if it's because their parents don't trust them. I don't care if it's because they're diehard Lutheran. I don't care what the reason is. I just wanted them in front of those teachers because those teachers were amazing people of God. They were passionate teachers. They were educators on multiple levels, and they would teach not only the knowledge, but they would teach the wisdom that goes with it, which is the one who provided that knowledge. And you can't get a better education than that. And so that's what I tell them. Is like, guys, I don't care. We paint the color, change the color, whatever gets them here, get them here, and then I want them in front of you. And you'll have those people who will, and I see it even on Facebook. I'm friends with, on Facebook with some of the former students and some of the teachers, and I see stuff back and forth sometimes that they say, and you're like, they had these profound influence on these kids' walks, and who they are now. And while he's not their high school or middle school teacher, Tim is having that kind of opportunity and influence with these young folks. And it's the ones that the genuine people, the Rick Kleins, the Darren Hansen. I don't know if you know. I don't think you ever got to meet Darren Hansen and his wife Lori, who worked for us. But Rick Klein is a former, of course. Geez, I just blanked. Wally Clater.
Wally Clater. Love that man.
We have several. Kylie Mattis. We have a lot of Lutheran educators in our own church that they just had this opportunity with the kids. That is pretty awesome. For me, my walk is an interesting one too. We were, again, raised. So I tell you, you had the Catholic, Lutheran thing. What's funny is my wife was raised Catholic, but she mentions it was mostly Catholic when Grandma was in town.
Like a lapsed Catholic.
Yeah. But her mom got upset when she said she became a Lutheran. Because she didn't, because they were Catholic. And it's like, oh my God, you went and did that. So what I tell you is, my mom's background was Baptist, and my dad was the Lutheran. So I tell people I'm a Lutheran who can get my hands up above my shoulders in church. But it's fun, because we really, it was my mom's brings that passionate joy, and my dad brought that stoic, frozen, chosen, component.
You know where the line "frozen chosen" comes from?
No, I don't. Actually,
I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was actually Billy Graham.
Oh, was it really?
I was asked what he thought about. I don't remember if it was the LCMS or about Lutherans, and like essentially said like they are theological giants if they would just have more passion. Like that's why it's like the frozen chosen. It's like, man, they have such beautiful deep theology, and it's like I just wish that would be more active.
More excited. Yeah, I know, huh? That's right. Oh, cool. Very
anyway.
Like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, this is tea. Ed and I are both drinking
we're having tea.
Yeah,
having tea tonight.
Yeah.
But I know I was raised to know the Lord, but I didn't. It unfortunately for me, growing up in the Lutheran church, it just wasn't really approachable for us as kids, And I was I still am, ADD. So you got me for like 3 seconds, and then I'm off, right? So I never really engaged.
You don't know this. We actually have flashing lights everywhere just to keep him like amused. When I'm
exactly. Like cat toys and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's perfect. So I always believed, but I kind of became that sort of agnostic, and then I made this whole, probably one of the biggest, sort of sin mistakes you can make in life, and that is I began to think I was the center of my universe, which
Mm.
makes for a pretty small universe.
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of did my own thing, which was had a lot of wreckage that goes along with that, and that's, I'm forgiven. I've gone to God with that, but it still saddens my heart because
Mm.
things could have been different for different people in my life, um, but like you, actually, only in the reverse, my anchor in the storm, of my life was my brother.
Mm.
My brother, in fact, they
Younger
used to,
brother.
yeah, yeah. In fact, when we were kids, we were much, much younger, they would say that one's going to be a pastor. Talking about Tim. Yeah. And
Not too late for both of you.
I know. Well, he's already on his way, man, doing what he's doing. But
Mm-hmm.
he just always was. He was centered, and he prayed. He prayed a lot for me, and of which I am abundantly grateful. And just in the midst of all the messes I'd created, I was in a relationship with a young lady who was angry, angry, angry at God, because of the things that she went through, under a tyrant and hypocritical father. Very
Mm-hmm.
bad stuff. And so that just wasn't a topic of conversation that was allowed to happen. And she had been involved in her church and all that.
Mm.
And one day I woke up and I said, I'm going to church today,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to go with me? She says, no, I don't want to go with you. I said, okay. I didn't think you would, but I didn't want to leave without inviting you. And I just walked into a church that my brother was going to because it wasn't far
Mm.
from me. It was over in Thousand Oaks. He was driving from Simi to Thousand Oaks to go to this church, and
Was that the
it,
Francis Chan one?
I don't know, but I
All
don't
right.
remember
Sorry.
Francis
Yeah.
Chan,
Yeah.
but I walked in and just kind of listened to the message and just began to make that more a part of my life, and just started walking and talking, and then when I moved back here to Santa Clarita, I got married, child on the way. This guy's like, this has got to be more, nothing will. So I don't think ever like once you get back to God than having a child, because you're like, okay, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just this, pulling me back to Him, and healing me slowly. So I get the idea of lots of questions. It doesn't frighten. In fact, I people say they're angry at God. I'm like, fine.